Good morning. Welcome to the Community Review on Hot 92.3. I'm Josefa Salinas, your host. What an absolute treat I have for you today. Do you believe heaven is for real? Well, I know it is. You all have heard about my brain tumor story, so you know heaven is for real. But there was a movie recently that kind of embarked on that subject from a whole different angle. Heaven is for Real came out at Easter, did amazing at the box office, and it was really kind of controversial at the moment when it came out because people were saying, "Oh, Christian movies don't do well. They belong in a certain place. They're not general market films." Well, I beg to differ, and this movie proves it. It did fabulously, as well as many other Christian-based, faith-based movies that have come out, which lends us to the subject that we have today. Who is behind this incredible movie, Heaven is for Real? I tell you what, he's in the house, and not only is heaven for real, but so is the power of your instinct. It's his new book, Instinct, The Power to Unleash Your Inborn Drive. T.D. Jakes in the house. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Well, it is so welcome to Los Angeles.
It's great to be out here.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. And congratulations on the movie. First of all, I saw it opening weekend, and it was a delight. And I took a 6-year-old. And we just talked for hours and hours and hours about Jesus and heaven and, death, and just really it opened up such conversation.
I think it is a catalyst of conversation for people of all ages. Our amazing factors were that children loved it just as much as adults. It's one of the few movies you could bring your grandkids and grandma to, and they'd all have a good time,
Now, why this movie? What was it about this story that really touched you and you said, this is the one I want to do?
Well, first of all, Heaven is for Real was a book that sold about 8 million copies and really shook the literary world, which is my other life. And but the way I became involved in the film was through Todd Burpo, who is the father in real life, heard me promoting Jump in the Broom, and came to me and said, "I'm getting ready to do this movie, but I don't want to do it without you. I want you to be a producer on this project and to protect my son's voice throughout the creative process and make sure that his story is delivered across the screen as he told it." And I did that and signed on to be producer with Joe Roth, and that was great to work with Joe, and it was wonderful to be a part of the team.
Now, I was totally just moved by this little boy and his very casual way of addressing his experience with seeing God.
Yeah, it was really amazing. He's a very unusual child. People often ask me, do I believe that something happened to him? I absolutely do. He's a very, very unusual child. It's almost hard to describe his personality. And while he is, a normal kid and laughs and plays, you can also tell that there's just something different about this kid. I can't put my finger on it. And casting for that role was really, really tough. We found this kid out of Cleveland who had never acted a day in his life, and he walked on the set after going through 2,000 kids, and he nailed it. And he brought magic to the screen. It's amazing.
Wow. So there must have been a hand in that one then.
Yes.
When you were embarking on this project, did you think it was going to be hard for people to take the message, like confirming that heaven is real?
I was more worried from a perspective, being a minister, I was worried about the integrity to theology. And the controversy that would exist. Is this Daniel's account of heaven? Is this the St. John's in Revelation? Is this his account of heaven? And I went through all of that. And then the next thing, can technology really show what heaven looks like without it being kind of quirky looking,
Mm-hmm.
And we struggled for a long time. It took a long time to get this movie made. When we finally realized to discard all of the biblical controversies and just focus on letting the little boy's voice speak, just let Colton tell the story, it became a lot easier to do. And there's a magical power to this film that's because it is the voice of a child and it talks to us all.
Now, what really got me in the movie was the last little twist where the painting that the girl was doing, when he saw it, he said, because this father, I remember his father showing, is this Jesus? Mm-hmm. No. Is this Jesus? No. Is this Jesus? No. And he's like, oh God, well,
right.
Maybe he didn't see him.
Right.
But then when he saw that picture and he said, that's him. I just got chills. It was so amazing for me. And it reminded me when I went to Italy. Mm-hmm. and I saw the pictures of Jesus there compared to the pictures in the United States of Jesus.
Yes.
It's a totally different Jesus.
Yes, absolutely.
It really is.
Yeah.
That man looks more like the man that I believe.
Right.
And I believe he looks like, in my mind, what he looks like. When I saw those pictures, I was like, that's Jesus.
Well, the odd thing about this particular story is that it's absolutely true, and there was an artist overseas who had done the paintings, and it did look very much as the Burpos described, and I thought that was absolutely amazing.
Right.
We didn't have to struggle to create drama; we just let the story tell itself.
Right.
It was amazing, you know.
Right. So, this will be the last thing I ask you about the movie because I want to move on to your book, which is absolutely fabulous. Why do you think that there's been a change in not only Hollywood, but in society where people are looking for these kinds of messages, even in movies?
I think they always were, but we didn't give them much option. It is so difficult to get greenlit on a film of that type because the people who greenlight films have a tendency to think that all of America thinks like them. And that's a mistake that all leaders can make, is to think that everybody is like you and only serve one audience, one group of people. I think that the first real wake-up call in the current generation happened with the Passion of the Christ.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they had an aha moment, you know. This is big, you know, but still didn't quite buy into it. I think when Mark and Roma came along and did Bible stories on television again, it reached their sphere and they kind of started seeing daylight about it. And as we have walked along the process during the films we have done, we've progressively inform the audience that there is an audience out there who enjoys family-friendly films, and they don't have to be, they can be overtly or covertly of faith, but faith needs to be interwoven into the reflection of the arts, because throughout history, art has been a reflection of society, and whether you're atheist, agnostic, or it doesn't matter what you are, you have to acknowledge that we are here, that there are people who believe this way, and our art ought to reflect the fact that we existed in this era.
Very good. Well, keep making those movies, please,
I will.
because they're fabulous. And I think that even if you don't believe a particular religion, they allow the conversation.
Absolutely.
They allow your mind to step out and expand and say, what if?
And I think people, the real kudos goes to the people out there who buy tickets, because had they not supported it, we would not be able to convey this message. I've been asked to do a lot of things in Hollywood of late as a result of that response, and we are no better at providing content than they are at coming to it. So I just kudos and accolades to all the people who went and supported it. And it may not be your flavor of the month, but go out and support it, because we're trying to get people to understand that we need more movies in this genre.
Yeah. It doesn't always have to be shoot 'em up, knock 'em down, and sell 'em.
Right, exactly.
It can't just be normal life.
Yeah.
People are fine with seeing normal life.
Hence, we have reality TV. I mean, people want to see a reflection of and all the good and bad of that, but people do want to see a reflection of themselves and of their life, their kids and their family. And trust me, I raised 5 kids. Normalcy can still be quite dramatic.
Oh, yes, it can. Yes, it can. I'm raising a son alone, so it is.
Yes,
and he's 18, go to college. Talk about a journey.
God bless you.
Talk about a journey. Biggest milestone I ever had in my life was admitting, as a very strong, educated woman, that I could not teach him everything that there was to know about being a man.
And I'm so happy to hear you say that, because I so often hear women say the opposite of that. Yep. But the stats confirm that men are not optional. You really do need a male figure in a boy's life and in a girl's life too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
God wasn't wrong after all.
No, no, he wasn't. Well, let's talk about the book. The brand new book, New York Times bestseller, Instinct, The Power to Unleash Your Inborn Drive. In the book, you say this. You say, when you don't become fixated on the prize and instead pursue your passion, you will know the fulfillment that comes from living by instinct.
Yes, I said it because I think so many of us are so focused on doing what we have to do that we never consider what we were created to do. And in the pursuit of prosperity, we end up without purpose. But if you really would pursue your purpose, the prosperity would pursue you. Everybody around the country that you see that has done amazing, phenomenal things, they did it instinctively. It was not intellectually. Intellect is based on things we've read, things we've heard, things we've ingested and digested. It's great. It's wonderful, but intellect is always based on information that looks in retrospect. Instinct takes you into the future, into the unknown. And a lot of times people are afraid of that. Like an instinct makes a silkworm build a cocoon. An instinct makes a sea turtle, once it's born, migrate toward the ocean. Instincts make bears hibernate. It always looks at where I'm going and not at where I've been. And I'm challenging people when I wrote Instincts to come out of the cage you're in and live your life on purpose.
So give me, and I'm speaking for the thousands of women out there like myself, single mom working 3 jobs. Couple of them I like. One is a passion. How do I follow my passion and take that leap and think, I'm going to be able to pay the bills?
Gradually. You don't have to do it all at once, and that's what I talk about in the book. If you released a lion back out into the wild and you brought him out of the zoo-like atmosphere of a cage, you wouldn't do it overnight. You would kill him. He doesn't know how to hunt. He doesn't know how to survive in the jungle, and so you would introduce him back. Even though it's his natural habitat and it is instinctive to him, it has to be gradually pursued. There is a way to do it, and people do it all the time, and you can do it gradually. The second thing is, I think sometimes at a certain stage of your life when you're not focused on being a mom or a wife or something else where you have responsibilities that control and you responded to them doing what you have to do. Once you get through with all of that, you get to do what you were created to do. And sometimes people throw up their hands because many people do not know who they are outside of who they are responsible for. They have defined themselves all of their lives by the people in their lives, and they have made themselves a reactor. And so they can't be proactive because they're always responding and contorting themselves into what somebody else needs. And if nobody needs them, they become almost psychopaths, because they have never considered what was I created for and what do I deep down in my heart want to do instinctively.
How do we get out of that mind trap and find our rhythm? Because you talk about your rhythm in the book.
Well, I talked about rhythm because I sat with cardiologists who confirmed to me that when they do a stem cell research, that the cells that make up the heart start beating before they connect. That the cells, you can put them in a petri dish and they will start beating and gravitate to other cells that beat. And when they find cells that have their rhythm, they coalesce together, and that's how the heart is formed. And when I began to study that and look at that, I thought, oh, wow, that has been the story of my life. I connect the best. I work the best. I love the best when I find people who have my rhythm. So being in touch with your rhythm, how you flow, how you move, can unlock happiness in your personal life, prosperity in your professional life. Finding that rhythm is important. And that means you have to listen at yourself. You have to listen at what fires you. What do you do that when you do it, you get energy, you get ideas, you get creativity, you jump out the bed and start looking for a pen to write about it? Those are the things you ought to focus on, because that's where your instincts are, that's where your creativity is, and that's where your future ought to be.
Now, how do we talk to young people who, like, every week it's a new thing? Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this, because they have their things are just flying in a million different directions. How do we focus their rhythm or show them how to find the thing that it's not just the wind blowing that's getting you excited? It really is your rhythm.
As a mother or as a father, and I do take parenting seriously, I don't think you wait till the kid can talk to observe who he is instinctively. In the cradle, at the earliest stages, as a toddler crawling across the floor, does he like to play with his hands? Is he artistic? Does he like to draw? Is he a loner? Is he an extrovert? Is he an introvert? And then the great thing about being a parent is like being a CEO. A good CEO places an employee in an atmosphere where they can shine. And a good mother does the same thing with the kid, putting them in environments that stimulate who they are already intrinsically and instinctively will enhance them in a major way. Suppose somebody had never given Tiger Woods a set of golf clubs. See, suppose Michael Johnson had never, Michael Jordan. I got him and Michael Jackson mixed up in my head, couldn't say either one. Jordan had never been on a basketball court. Suppose there weren't somebody behind him saying, it's okay to do you. Of course, kids are going to come up with all kinds of ideas through adolescence, because adolescence is is coming out of another womb again into a broader audience. And anytime a human comes from a womb into a broader audience, there will be bruising. But the bruising will heal. It's the price you pay. It's the cost of admission into the next realm of human existence.
Wow. So let's talk for a second about teaching instinct. Can it be taught, or is it if you either have it or you don't, and does everyone have it?
You cannot create it by teaching, but you can reveal it by teaching. You see, you can reveal it, you can enhance it, you can stimulate it. Teaching always makes anything better. Teaching doesn't make a person pregnant, but if you have great teaching, it'll make the pregnancy better. Okay? Teaching doesn't make us healthy, but if we receive the teaching, it will make the health better. And I wrote about instincts because my book will not give you the instincts, but it will make you say, oh, that's what that is. Ow, that's why I've been feeling that way. And it gives you some kind of compass through which you can begin to hit that thing that you were created to do.
And do you think that you are fully doing your instincts, or some of the new ventures that you're heading out on, is it a branch of your core instinct?
I think it is a branch of my core instincts. And many, many years ago, a very dear friend of mine, Ed Lewis, said to me, who owned Essence Magazine, he said, to thine own self be true. And I'm the kind of person that if you say anything to me, I take it very seriously. I grappled with that for weeks and weeks and weeks thinking, what does that really, really mean? To thine own self be true. And I think that epitomizes what I'm saying in instincts, and I think my life has epitomized that. I don't live in the box. I don't color in the lines. I do me. I have people all the time say, you're a pastor. What are you doing books and movies, and you run a company? You've got an entertainment company. You're a preacher. I said, no, I'm a person who preaches. And then put a comma at that, because people will define you by how they met you. They will describe you by how they know you. But in so doing, they encase you into their understanding of what that is. Don't let people put a period where God put a comma. Have the courage to be yourself, to thine own self. What's in your core? I'm a communicator in print, in film, on stage, in corporate offices, in churches. I am a communicator. So if you put me in any atmosphere where I can communicate, I am following my instincts and doing my thing.
To thine own self be true.
Absolutely.
To thine own self be true. The New York Times best-selling author has got another New York Times best-selling book, Instinct, The Power to Unleash Your Inborn Drive. We're going to come back with more from TD Jakes on the Community Review, Hot 92.3.